Welcome back to Jeff Outdoors. We are proceeding further with the maple syrup making at home series that we have apparently fallen into doing. I thought it would be interesting to talk about since we are getting into maple season here in Ohio very, very soon. And other maple producing areas of the United States will be diligently out tapping trees and collecting sap. So, I did just put out a maple syrup supplies video for you folks at home who want to do it as a project or, you know, get the kids involved for this project at home. Little learning experience. It's always good for the kids. For somebody who loves maple syrup, I do my production on my own, and it is a one-man show when it comes to how I do things and boiling down the sap and everything. So this video is talking about sap storage at home. This could be kind of an issue if you don't already have maybe like a large food grade bin of some sort. I use 5-gallon food grade buckets. Food grade, heavy duty, BPA free. These buckets are actually a great way to store sap. The price, the reusability, so there's a little bit of an investment, but you're going to be using, once you buy it, you have it, you're going to use it every year, and you can keep it dedicated for maple sap. So my buckets are maple sap only. I've not ever put anything in here other than maple sap. I have 5 of these, so that's 25-gallon storage capacity. I am upping the number of taps that I have this year. I'm going from 8 taps on my local trees to some down the road. I should have about 23 taps out this year, which will probably triple my tiny production process. So these are a great resource, and collecting the sap is another little trick I'd like to show you when it comes to that, because what a lot of people will do is they will get some type of cloth, and I've done this in the past. You get an old t-shirt that's clean, you get some sort of flour sack cloth or something that's like a cheesecloth or something like that. You put it around, and then you bungee cord it on there to secure it, and then you pour your sap in, and it filters the sap, filters any little woody debris or what have you that might get into the sap. Because, you know, it's done outside, so there's always going to be a little something in there that you have to filter out. So you can do the cloth with the bungee method. That does work fine. The thing that I found with that is that you're going to constantly want to be washing that cloth and trying to sanitize it as much as possible. That gets a little redundant. So I have a little bit of a different method that I'm using. So in conjunction with the 5-gallon buckets. So let me just show you that real quick. And this could save you a lot of hassle if you're just getting into maple this year. This could save you a ton of hassle. So I have a hardware store not far from me. I live nearby the largest Amish community in the world, so there's a lot of resources that we have here locally that a lot of communities may or may not have, to be quite honest. That's just kind of how it works. But the hardware stores here will stock some maple syrup making supplies, so you can check with your local hardware stores. What you can do also to get the next piece of equipment that I'm going to talk about is if you have a beer brewing store near you, you can go there and check out some of their equipment that you could possibly use for making maple syrup. One of those items is a large nylon funnel. This is something that's used in beer production, possibly wine production. I make hard cider, so I don't really use any filters. The hard cider's back here, and it is aging, and we'll be getting into that come maple season. That's being reserved for maple season, sipping while boiling some sap. So this is the setup that I'll be So, and you only have to do this to one lid. If you have multiple buckets, you only need one lid to do this. So you're going to get your bucket and your lid, and you're going to put a hole right in the middle. This, I believe, is a 10-inch, 9 or 10-inch nylon funnel. And you can see down there it has a screen. That's your filter. It looks sort of like a milk filter that you would use in dairy production. So that's kind of where that design comes from. And this screen pops out. See that little handle on there? You can pull that screen out and wash it off if you had to. But this kind of setup is going to keep you from worrying about washing and sanitizing any cloth material during your collection process. So, and what you do with that is it just sticks down in there, and when you go out to the tree, you're going to take your sap in the bucket and you're just going to pour it down in through the filter, and it's going to fill up the bucket. And once that bucket's full, you put it on the next bucket and you put a lid with no hole. You put a lid on there and you just fill it up. You fill them up as you go. So fill it, cap it, done. So 9 or 10-inch nylon funnel with the screen. Make sure it's got to have the screen. That's the whole purpose of that. And 5-gallon food grade BPA-free buckets is the way to go. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention too is if you go back and watch the supplies video, I talk about the boiling process. So you get a couple of hotel pans and you put them on the burners, and while the boiling process is going on, you will see a little bit of foaming on top of the sap. Completely normal, and every sugar maker, every maple syrup maker deals with that pretty much in the same way, and that's with using a skimmer. This I picked up at the hardware store. It was $5, and believe me, it's worth it. It's worth having this, because as you're boiling down, you're just going to go around and you're going to skim that foam off the top of the boiling sap. And what that is sap is kind of fibrous, really. And in the other video I mentioned sugar sand. So as you're boiling it, some of the impurities and things and fibrous types of substances come to the surface of the sap, and by skimming it off, you eliminate down the road what all has to be filtered when you go to filter the ultimately finished syrup, and it's just part of the process. So to add to the maple supplies video I just made, that's if you go back another video, to add to that, it would be a skimmer. This is the way to go here if you can find the square skimmer. It's nice and wide, and it just works really quickly. You can use a smaller, round strainer that you would use in your kitchen, and you can go around with that. I've done that before too. So anything that's like a fine stainless steel mesh, that's perfect to get that all skimmed off and ready to go to continue your full day of boiling maple sap. So that is the way to go. So hopefully this will be useful to you. I really do recommend doing this instead of doing the cloth with the bungee. This is going to simplify everything for you and make it, maple syruping is fun. It should be fun. I do it because it's fun. The finished product is what you're after. So if you keep your mindset on the ultimate goal, it's a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy it. So that's it for the maple sap storage. Other things as far as storage, larger storage goes, if you can find like a BPA food grade cooler, large cooler that you can keep sap in, that's one way to go. The thing to think about when you're storing sap, it has to stay cold. So you're you're going to be storing sap outside. Temperatures in January and February can get into the negative temperatures. So whatever you're using outdoors should be rated for cold weather. If it's plastic and it freezes, it may crack, and you may leak maple sap out all over the place. Also, it should be something that you can lift, because you're going to have to get the sap out of there at some point. Yes, you can ladle it and do those kinds of things, but it should be relatively movable by yourself or anybody in your family. And just a couple of things to think about there. So I like the 5-gallon buckets because if I know I'm going to have a minus 20, minus 10 degree temperature out through the week after I just collected sap, I can actually bring the buckets inside and let them warm up and thaw out a little bit. Now, it is good to let it freeze a little bit, because then you can remove the ice. And by removing the ice, you're taking water out of the sap, and you're actually concentrating the sap, which will lessen the time that you have to boil in the primary boiling process. So a couple of things to think about there. So mull it over. If you need any tips on supplies or processes of boiling maple sap, let me know. And we'll just leave it at that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, hit the like button. That'd be pretty cool. All right. Thanks again. Giddy up.